Will Saquon Barkley not play Thursday night football because of an ankle sprain? Well, welcome back to the timeline with Dr. Evan Jeffries, aka the Game Injury Doc. Welcome back to this week's episode. This is week 2 of NFL injuries. We got a lot of big names that we got to go through. We got Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, Anthony Richardson. We got Devonte Adams and David Montgomery, which we're going to kind of detail today. But first, I want to say thank you again for tuning in last week. Welcome back. We're going to try to keep this a weekly thing, but let's just dive right into the injuries. Saquon Barkley had a pretty tough injury. By the looks of it and the mechanism of injury, it looked like it was a high ankle sprain. The Giants are very optimistic that it wasn't, so I'm hoping that the video is lying. But unfortunately, in the video, it was actually hard to see his ankle, his right ankle, where it was under the tackle. But when you kind of see his body bending to the side and tackle come from the outside, typically the foot will go into what we call like a eversion, which will cause the high ankle sprain. But regardless, they play Thursday night, which will be super difficult even on a regular ankle sprain to play in the next couple of days. He will get an MRI tomorrow, which will kind of determine the severity. Usually you're looking at grade 1, 2, and 3. A grade 1 would be a minor sprain where there's just some micro tearing of the ligaments. A grade 2 would be a partial tear, which you're looking at more multi-week absence with that. And then a grade 3 would be a full tear, which sometimes would require surgery, but often it's at least a minimum of 6 weeks, and then they can usually tape it and kind of get back on the field and deal with it in the off season. It's unlike with football, it's different than basketball where you have to be jumping all the time. But he would have difficulty with planning and kind of keeping that stability with the ankle. So I don't expect him to play this week. I think it's a long shot, especially on a short week. If he had a Sunday and the sprain ended up being minor, then maybe. But I highly doubt he's going to play this Thursday night. So get on the waiver wire if you're looking to add his backup. And then I wanted to dive into the next major, what we call aggravation of an injury, Joe Burrow. He came up limping in today's game. It's the same right calf injury. He had a strain in training camp, which they never officially kind of gave us what type of grade it was. But, based on the timeline and how long he was out and what it looked like for him, it looked like probably a good grade 2 strain, which is a partial tear. So this is the problem with soft tissue injuries. This is what you worry about. You worry about the aggravation of these injuries. So this is something that is going to linger and something that he's going to have to deal with over the next couple of weeks and probably at least into October. The thing you really worry about is a weakened calf, a strained calf, is a recipe for disaster for Achilles injuries. And that's something that we kind of saw this past week with Aaron Rodgers. He was dealing with a calf. They didn't really say what it was in training camp, but we knew there's something going on with his calf, which typically will weaken that muscle, which makes it difficult and increases the forces on your Achilles tendon. So that's something that you worry about with these type of injuries, a la Kevin Durant in the finals when he came back from a partial tear of the calf in, I think it was like 30-something days, and he tore it in the first game. So that's what you worry about. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but those are like the big worries as my physical therapy brain kind of goes through with these type of injuries. So I'd be on the lookout for the injury reports this week with Joe Burrow, and they're off to an 0-2 start. So I think they play next Monday night against the Rams, and that's a huge game. So obviously he's probably going to try to go with that one. And then I want to get into Anthony Richardson. And this is something that I kind of, I saw last week when he got hit. And it looked like he took a big, big hit in the fourth quarter. And he was laying on the ground for at least 10, 15 seconds, couldn't really get up, and he looked a little dazed. However, they never ruled him out of the game, never really officially said he had a head injury, and he returned to the game and everything was fine. Unfortunately, this week, He ran in for a touchdown, hit his head on the turf, which is another thing. Turf is a harder surface, kind of like what happened with Tua when he hit his head on the turf after having sensitivity from concussions prior. He was ruled out of this game with a concussion, and that's a difficult part because I knew last week there had to be a head injury. Nobody gets hit from helmet to helmet and doesn't have some sort of micro head injury. And that's a problem because they can pass all the concussion tests. However, they're always going to have this sensitivity. And so it just takes one little hit, one little helmet to the ground, one helmet to helmet, and then it's a full-blown concussion. So I expect Anthony Richardson to sit out this week, obviously. He's going to have to go through the concussion protocol. I just wouldn't think they would rush him back at this point, especially when you know he's taken 2 big hits. One thing he's going to have to learn is he's going to have to learn to not get hit. Slide. Don't try to. He's 6'4". He's a big body, and he thinks he can kind of run over people. And he's done that in 2 games so far. I think he has a world of talent, but he's going to end up getting injured if he doesn't learn how to take care of his body, take care of his head. But I don't expect him to play this week, and I'm sure Gardner Minshew is probably going to be the starter going forward for this week. Then staying on the lines of concussions, Devonte Adams took a huge hit when he was going down the middle, a helmet-to-helmet hit, and was immediately ruled out with a concussion. Again, when you use the helmet as a weapon, as a spear, and you lead with the helmet and you hit somebody else's helmet, that's a recipe for a brain injury. He's going to have to pass, obviously, the concussion protocol, but I don't expect him this next week. I think these players shouldn't be cleared within the week to play, especially when they've been diagnosed with a concussion. They should be at least given that whole week off and making sure there's no symptoms that come back, because that's the problem with the concussions. A lot of times that symptoms that were there, they go away, they pass a test, and then a week later the symptoms appear again. So I would expect him to be at least out this week, and hopefully in returning in week 4 when he's all cleared from the symptoms. Concussions are bad, man. That's one of the most difficult things players, especially football players, kind of have to go through. But we saw it too last year. You don't want to come back too early from concussions. There's a heightened awareness, a heightened sensitivity to the brain. It's like trauma over and over. It's like being in a car accident. You feel like you've gotten knocked out. You got something going on there, and then you have sensitivity moving forward, and you need time to heal. Your brain needs time to heal. So these players should definitely not play the upcoming week and should at least be ready, symptom-free for the following weeks. And the last injury I wanted to get into was David Montgomery. They're calling it a thigh bruise, but when you look at the video, it looks like the defender pulls on his knee and twists it. That doesn't look like a thigh bruise to me. I mean, I didn't see the impact from the helmet to the thigh or anything like that. And when he's kind of he's limping like he doesn't have a bruise, but more of a knee injury. And he also was putting ice directly on his knee, not on his thigh, when he's getting taken to the locker room. So I would suspect as the days go on, we'll hear something about a knee injury. I don't particularly believe it's a thigh bruise. Even David Montgomery kind of said himself, he feels this is a pretty significant injury, and he'll probably miss a couple weeks. So right now, I don't foresee him playing the next game unless there's kind of a miracle and it's not really a knee injury and isn't necessarily a bruise. But I don't think that's possible based on the mechanism on the video. This week was tough, man. We had a lot of players go down, a lot of different injuries. But I hope I caught you guys up on some of these and continue to follow along with the timeline. We'll be on YouTube. All my socials, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, will have snippets of the video. This will always be the long format, and hopefully uploading to a podcast coming soon. All right, you guys, take care. Peace.